I don't know the reason why NDA started to begin with. People say it's because the brands don't want people to know how little they pay their athletes, but I don't know if that's true. Yeah, it's interesting. And people worry about people's feelings getting hurt. And I think that is a possibility with trail running where it is in the sport right now. You are able to negotiate bigger contracts, not just because of the performances, but because of other factors, other variables. It would be cool to see, your podcast talk about so-and-so signing this amount, and, and Finn's podcast talk about so-and-so signing this many years and this bonus, and that would be cool. And maybe in a few years that'll happen.
Awesome. Nick Cornell, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty well. Enjoying a lovely fall day in Missoula.
Yeah. Well, dude, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to have a conversation with me. As we get started, maybe just give us like the little elevator pitch on your background, who you are, and we could talk a little bit about Trailhead Athlete Management.
Yeah, for sure. I live in Missoula, Montana. I've been a trail runner, I guess, for almost 10 years now. Before that, I was a thru hiker. I came from that background, did the Triple Crown in the United States over a period of years. I kind of fell in love with traveling on trails and ended up running. Got into 100Ks and all that. And then once I was in Montana, I met my girlfriend, Jen Lichter, who's now a professional trail runner. And so that's how I got to learn that sort of business side of things. I found it pretty interesting. It's a lot, these elite athletes, they manage a lot of stuff. And most of them, don't like answering emails, don't like being on computers. So I found that kind of universally throughout in most of the elite trail runners nowadays. So we live in Missoula. We've been here for 3 years, I think. We love it here. It's good training partners, good trails. It's a good place.
It is a great place. My buddy Jackson Cole lives up there. I think you took a photo of him recently that he like posted or something like that. He loves it. It seems like everybody I talk to that spends time up there or has ever lived up there like absolutely like loves the area.
Yeah, right now it's fall and everyone's still trying to get out while they can before the snow comes, and now it's the sun setting at 5 o'clock and it's a bit rough.
Dude, did you I don't know, I was like scrolling on Instagram recently and I saw that like someone stole a Sinclair dinosaur and like put it on what's the local peak that you guys have with the giant M on it?
I think that was in Bozeman.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Damn. It's close.
I think. I didn't look too much into it, but yeah, I think that was Bozeman.
Well, nobody get any ideas.
Honestly, I could be wrong.
All right, let's. I want to talk a little bit about your background. I read up on you a decent amount and saw that you had played D3 soccer in college, and like you're like a solid athlete in your own right, man. Let's talk about a little bit about your background. Like, let's talk soccer. And first of all, like, what position did you play?
Yeah, I played soccer all my life. My mom played at a high level. She played on the women's national team back in 1985. My brother also played D3 soccer. I played D3 soccer. I was like a left wing, so I was running a lot naturally. I was pretty fit without trying to get fit, I guess.
Yeah.
So I played at a small school in Virginia for 4 years. It was really cool. It was like a brand new program. The school just went co-ed like 3 years before I got there. It's a brand new program. We went to the NCAA tournament 1 year, made it to the Sweet 16. It was a really cool experience. D3 is pretty fun. The people are there working hard, and they're there for like, it feels like the right reasons. Yeah, so that's sort of my endurance background. There's a lot of that soccer player to trail runner pipeline is pretty strong.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that was my sport. Like, I was a left back, and yeah, I grew up in South Florida, so it's like a very deep, I don't know, like a lot of I guess more multicultural and multinational, I guess you could say, because it's a lot of more of a South American emphasis, which like makes it super fun. It's a great sport. Do you still like follow the sport at all? Or are you like you follow like all the different leagues and stuff?
No.
Nah.
I definitely, there was a time period where I used to, but no, not anymore. I mean, Yeah, not at all.
I don't either. I was just curious.
It's hard to keep track of, all the trail running stuff and then like wake up at, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning to watch EPL games.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, it's kind of wild. The European scene is nuts. I guess I don't know. You compare it to like trail running, and it's like, oh man, like it's too much now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I want to pivot to trail running a little bit and talk about your kind of just your background. Like, did you discover the sport like through Jennifer? Did you discover the sport just like randomly signing up for a race? Like, how did you get into trail running?
I'm not sure how I discovered it per se. I grew up like right on the Appalachian Trail in Front Royal, Virginia. So I guess there were trail runners, like the Old Dominion 100s right there. The Macedon 100 was right there. I probably like, caught little bits and pieces of it growing up. Yeah, and then some point in one of my thru hikes, I started sort of following the sport. I figured I started backpacking 30, 40 miles in a day and thought, oh, I could run this if I didn't have a backpack on me. And yes, during the summers when I was thru hiking, I would start following, like, follow Western states while I was thru hiking and getting into that. Uh, yeah, then I made my parents support me for a 50K trail run on the AT after I finished the PCT. Just like, I just went out and did it, really knew nothing about it. My AT then blew up, and I think I only did a 50K as opposed to 50 mile. And then after the CDT, I did my first like 50K proper trail race, which was in North Carolina. I think it was in the Naturalist. And that was my first introduction to like the scene and like, the vibe and actually doing a race. Yeah, and I would only do like one or two races a summer for many years. I would only train 6 weeks beforehand for many years. Like the winter was my time off. Yeah, then once I started dating and hanging out with Jen, I started running like year round. And yeah, I like to do races around Montana nowadays. This year I did the Beaverhead 55K and the Whitefish 50K. Yeah, I was able to win both of those. So it's cool to be, doing well in this region. Is like, it's a sense of pride.
Yeah.
It's cool to explore your own little area.
What's the scene like over there? I mean, just from I know we kind of talked a little bit about Missoula, but like just the scene in general in Montana. Like it feels like I don't know between Adam Peterman, Jeff McGavro, Jennifer. Like there's so many amazing trail runners coming out of Montana at this point. Like you talk about it. Like what do you think as far as the growing scene?
I think that there's a lot of still like a lot of grassroots events. There's still a lot of like local crushers that stick to their hometown races and just will like show up and throw down. In Missoula, there's a lot of guys that they go out on these long adventures and they don't boast about it. Uh, yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's cool to just go out on a long run and you see one or two trail runners out there. You see, on the weekends in Missoula, there you'll see, I don't know, 20 people out trail running on a long run Sunday. It's crazy. I mean, it's it's a good scene, good vibes.
Yeah, yeah, very cool, very cool. All right, let's pivot. I don't want to bury the lead. Let's talk agent stuff. Dude, you're an agent. You have this company, Trailhead Athlete Management. What prompted you to want to start a business like this?
Yeah, I just saw I saw an opportunity. I saw openings. I've thought about it for many years. I've talked to people, in the industry for a few years. And, there's never a right time to start something. So I just figured, what the heck? Let's throw up a website. Let's get into it. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So like, um, Jen got her first pro contract in 2020, 2021, 2022. So that was my first like time, seeing that sort of thing. And it's like, wow, back in the day, people were getting shoes like based upon a handshake. And now people are signing these long, lengthy contracts and NDAs and, it's months of negotiations. Yeah. So I just saw there's only, I don't know, maybe two people that are dedicated to being and agents for trail runners. There's road and trail agents. There's a lot of agencies that just do road and trail on the side. Yeah, and right now, I mean, we like to think the sport has grown a lot, but it's gonna grow more. I really want to start it now because I was like, oh shoot, at some point trail running could end up in the Olympics, and at that point you can't start an agency. You have to start it 5 to 10 years ahead of time. And so that's really like why that was like the precursor. That was it. I was like now's a good time.
I think it's cool, man. So just some backstory. Like I went to high school with two guys that went on to become like NFL agents, and like they have all these law degrees. It's super fancy. You got to take all these stupid tests to become one. And I love our little sport where like if you want to be an entrepreneur and like you can make these brand connections and start a business, like we still allow the ability to do that. And it's like I think it's perfect because the right person at the right time, like you can get in now and develop these relationships and build the business like this. And yeah, like you said, however long it takes for us to get in the Olympics, like it's you'll have quite a book of business by the time that comes around, which I think is really intelligent.
Yeah, I do enjoy that part of the sport where you can stake a claim and create something. Back during like COVID, I was like, oh, maybe I should take a coaching course and start doing that, and I didn't do that. And then like, podcasting is blowing up, and I'm like, that
Tough
doesn't seem
business.
right for me. And yeah, and this opportunity sort of like presented itself, and I mean, yeah, let's figure give it a shot. I mean, what's the harm?
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, I think a misnomer is people think it's just working with an agent is just you getting deals for them. There's a lot more to it. Can you talk a little bit more about like the services like you guys provide, like logistics and scheduling, things like that?
Yeah, I think especially for trail running, yeah, you can't just be an agent. These athletes aren't making enough money to hire an agent and a manager, and so I feel like you need to be that all-encompassing resource. So yeah, getting people brand deals, answering the emails, figure out race calendars, figure out travel logistics. With the growth of social media, you got to figure out when to be posting about what, keeping on tabs with your deliverables for every contract. Yeah, there's a lot. And that, like, if you write all that stuff down, like, that's its own sort of part time job. And on top of training 20, 25 hours a week for these people. Yeah, so I think at Trailhead, we're trying to be that all encompassing supportive role, um, to, take a load off for these elite athletes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, just like the scheduling from the social media stuff, like that alone, I mean, I can think of stuff like I have just for myself as an athlete and for the podcast. And like there's stuff, well, I can't go in super deep, but like, yeah, I got to post shit like twice a month and stuff like that. And like you forget. And it's like, oh man, an agent would be really helpful to like set a little reminder, like let me know this needs to be done or you have this deliverable and stuff like that. Like it really like matters. Um, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, but yeah.
Yeah, you just need that nudge,
Yeah.
or you need a
Yeah.
calendar with, if you have 4 different contracts with, X amount of Instagram deliverables, that adds up.
Yeah. I gotta ask you this, like, I wanted to explore more like your why. Um, Obviously there's a need in the space, but like, what is the deeper why? Is it to help athletes? Is it to, create a career path for yourself? Is there like what is the kind of the burning desire?
Yeah, at the heart of it, I just want to help athletes. They're, they're putting in the work. They're working as much as any other elite athlete in any endurance sport, maybe even any team sport, and they deserve to be compensated fairly. Um, yeah, I don't want the days where people are scraping by and working part-time jobs while training 20 hours a week. That's crazy. Yeah, so that at the heart of it is the goal, just to help athletes. I don't feel a need to make a lot of money off of it. Like at the start, you can't have that as a goal. Maybe 10 to 20 years I will make enough money off of it. But yeah, for the time being, just to help athletes and just make the most of their, their potentially short careers.
Dude, on that topic, let's talk careers. I find it really interesting now that we're in this space where someone like Kelly Newland will go on a podcast and talk about, and we'll get into this later because I do have this question about this for you, where people will talk about athletes making over 500 grand a year in the sport. People are talking about all longevity and this, that, and the other. Like, how do you view it for as an agent, like working with athletes? Like, is it for you like this? Almost like a partnership for a career. Like I think that's the way almost athletes in the sport now from a professionalization perspective, like almost need to view it is as a career, especially as there's more money starts to roll in. Like, how do you view that? Or is it just this like 1 to 2 year thing?
Yeah, I like to look at it as a career. It's I mean, you are realistically, ideally, I guess you thinking over 10 years. And that in my book's a career. Nowadays, these athletes are hiring, strength coaches, nutritionists. They have brands on their side. Maybe they have an agent, and that's reflective of a career. You're building a team around you, that, and your running is not only supporting you, but it's supporting these other people too. So it's becoming definitely a career path. Um, and the interesting thing too is what happens after that 10-year career. There are some brands that are bringing on athletes in different roles, and that's exciting. Um, and yeah, definitely like to see more of that in the future.
Do you think there's a space where like that's a negotiable thing? Like, I don't know, take for instance, we can use Jennifer as an example. One of the greatest at this point, one of the greatest trail runners I think to have ever done it on the short trail side and into the ultra as well, like 50K mountain runners. There'll be a time when maybe she doesn't want to do this anymore and wants to move on in her career. Do you think there's opportunities there for athletes like that to be able to go in house and, I don't know, help develop shoes, to help develop product, all these different things? Like, well, do you think that'll be more available as time goes on for athletes?
Yeah, I think it will. I think a lot of these athletes should be brought on like in team management roles because they know, what goes into a hard season. They know what it's like to be an elite athlete. I think unfortunately, a lot of these teams are like 20 people deep, and not all those people will get jobs after they're done. A lot of athletes have made a career in coaching as well, or I think we'll see a lot of people sort of do like the YouTube channel thing after they're done, like Nick Simmons and that sort of YouTube thing. Yeah, I think we'll see more of it as the sport professionalizes and as athletes gain these experiences that are useful for the brands down the road.
Yeah. What is it like for you? I mean, I always found this interesting, just both on like from an athlete perspective and from the podcast perspective, having to reach out to these brands, like make relationships, foster and develop these relationships, and then hold on to them. How is it from an agent perspective? Like, do you have to like develop these relationships, or is it more you going to said athlete manager or said media contact and trying to work on deals and stuff like that? Like, what is kind of like more the nuts and bolts for that like side of the business?
Yeah, it's about building and managing those relationships. It's uh yeah, it's sort of that long-term goal of uh, not pestering every every brand manager with every athlete that wants to sign with them, but figure out what the athlete wants so you're like actually have a good partnership for this brand. Let's talk. um yeah, so it's about thinking long term and keeping those relationships going. um yeah, I mean, they're once you know who they are, you can walk up to them and have conversations with them at races or at other events. These people are involved in the sport and they like talking to people in the sport. So yeah, and at this point, trail running is small enough that they are still approachable, and that's really cool.
Yeah, that's true too. These people are not like super unable to get in touch with. Like, all you gotta do is peruse LinkedIn, and there's ways.
Yeah, I mean, your email probably goes to their spam folder, but
Yeah,
if you
that's
send
true.
them a LinkedIn, they'll probably go find it.
That's true. That's true. I think this is a really important time for this pod, just because, like, given where it is on the calendar, right? Like, we're kind of deep in the heart of contract season right now. Like, within the next month or two, like athletes are going to be talking about where they'll be making these changes. I think this is really important because there's a lot of athletes that listen to this that are kind of on that bubble that really want to become elites or get contracts and things like that. From your perspective, like, dude, I know this is a very open-ended question, but like, what kind of advice do you have for athletes that are trying to like make it in the sport now? Like, is consistency more important? Is it one-hit wonder stuff where you're going and winning one big race? Like, what advice would you have for athletes?
Yeah. Yeah, November's pretty exciting. I think, I feel like by this time most people have like wrapped up their negotiations. So like, yeah, advice for people trying to do it is, yeah, definitely consistency. You got to go to the right races. You got to go to the big stages and prove yourself. Um, and yeah, just keep doing it for the right reasons. Find the races you love that happen to be big stages and throw down. I know, like Will Murray at Black Canyon, he got a golden ticket, was unable to race, and coming to Javelina, he had to prove himself to just show the world that he belongs on that stage, and it was cool to see him do that. Yeah, and then outside of the results, he's got to figure out a way to stand out. Whether if you're an outspoken personality in the sport or a deep thinker and have good thoughts for podcasts and Instagram posts. I think just you just got to find a way to stand out and have the consistent results.
On that topic, so this is interesting. I've wondered this. I don't know. Like, I've had some conversations. Excuse me, just getting over a cold. These, like, what really matters besides like the performances? Like, what are these athlete managers looking at? Like, does it really actually matter if you write a Substack? Like, does it actually matter if you have a voice outside? Like, is that actually valued, or is it really just brand dependent?
I think it's definitely brand dependent. I think the one thing the brands want are like genuine good people. And that's why they want to have conversations with potential athletes, is just to figure out if there's a connection there, figure out if you're putting up a facade, figure out if you're a good person, because they just want good people who can run fast. If you have large audiences in Substack or Instagram, it's not going to hurt you. But at the end of the day, you just got to have consistent results. Yeah, that's the most important.
It's interesting, man. I don't know. There's some athletes in the sport, and I'm not going to name names just because that's weird. But like, there are a few like really consistent athletes in the sport that are just so talented and have done really well. And I just find it so interesting that some athletes just can't get contracts, and it's more on the short trail side. Like, you see athletes get, I don't know, the podium of Broken Arrow 46K this year, and then go win Speed Goat and do all these amazing things, qualify for Worlds, and still can't get their foot in the door. Like, what is that? Just brands being brands, or like what is that? Is it just because short trail is not as much valued as long trail? Like, how did brands kind of look at that?
I think there's a little like serendipity with it all, like sort of like the right time, right place. The right people, you talk to the right people, you have the right relationships. That's definitely a part of it across, all genres of trail running, and just the right time, right place. Yeah, as far as your question, like short trail stuff, I think definitely in this, in our country, we heavily value the ultra scene. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's that's the American way to go after the biggest and the best thing. Um, I think there will be more possibilities for short trail in the future. Um, you know, I like Worlds was a good example. The short trail races, the Mountain Classic, they were high level competitive races, and I think they'll continue to be so for the next few years. Um, Golden Trail is another exciting proving ground if you can get on that train. Yeah, but like you mentioned, like our sort of national short series races, like the Cirque Series, for instance.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I definitely agree that those aren't really like the highest. They don't get the most attention.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know why that is. Could be the brand not offering the highest bonuses to bring the competitors that you then go race. Um, And so, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for contracts, you got to figure out where the elites go and go and race them, more than just going to find races to win, if that makes any sense.
That does. It does. Well, I guess it's such an American thing. Like I said, like like you said, we do value the bigger, longer. I just don't get it. Like, what is that to where we put so much emphasis? Because like you've run the Rut 50K, you've spent a lot of time at the Rut. Like that's such a like special like race to the Montana scene. I would classify that relatively as a short trail racing series. Broken Arrow short trail racing series, like some of the best races in our country are short trail. I don't know why we put so much value on, I don't know, on the longer stuff when I think there's quite a lot there for the short stuff.
For sure. I mean, Broken Arrow, yeah, the Broken Arrow 23K is like the biggest proving ground in ultra right now, I think. Yeah, I love the Rut. 26K is pretty special, and yeah, there are a handful of competitors that show up for that. Yeah, man, it's hard to say. It's whether the brands are deciding where to put their money in the longer stuff because they see more of a return on investment, growing the ultra scene, and that probably has something to do with it. But I think with the growth of Golden Trail across the world, I think things will pick up in that scene. With their signing with HBO, and I think that'll help.
Yeah.
I hope that'll help.
That'd be dope. That would be dope. I totally agree. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like you can watch now, yeah, like any golden, like the Golden Trail final on HBO Max or whatever, and yeah, you can't do that for most of the sport, which I think is really cool. So that opens up more avenues for more folks to come in, and I guess just entry points as well to do the sport, which I think grows it in its entirety. I want to shift gears and talk money with you. And I don't know how much you can answer to this, and I can cut this out if it makes you squirmish. But like, I've heard a lot of talk in the last few weeks about there's trail athletes making 500K a year, and this is like such a hot button topic. I must have had this sent to me like 20 or 30 times. I personally, from the people I know, thought some of it was BS, and I've also had people tell me like that's legit. As an agent in the sport, as a person with contacts, like, is that legit? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's $1 million question.
Pun intended. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there are a handful of people making like good money in the sport. It's hard to say those numbers. And I think, the more those top people are paid, the better for everyone else. Yeah, yeah, this is all hearsay unless you have first person contact and first person numbers.
Literally 50-50. Like half the
Yeah.
people I spoke to that are like were pretty legit were like, yeah, no way. Half the people were like, yep, 100% this is real. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely focusing my attention on making sure everyone else gets paid more.
That's right. Yeah.
Like a rising tide lifts all ships. So, if the highest people in the sport can make more, then hopefully the people who are just signing contracts won't be signing contracts anymore for $5,000. They'll be starting at 20. I think that's that's what we should be focusing on instead of who's making the most and what they're making.
Yeah. No, I totally, and that's kind of where I'm going is like, if that's the case, and there is some truth to that, then my hope would be that there is going to be a lot more full-time athletes in the sport within the next 5 to 10 years. And it's going to just continue to raise the sport up. Even for, I don't know, you could say B tier, C tier athletes where there's going to be just more availability for money to be made and they can go full-time or at least work a heck of a lot less and focus more on their craft.
Yeah, it'd be cooler to have brands support people more all in so they don't have to have that part-time job. I've heard like suggestions of having minimum contracts in order to be like a pro runner. Maybe something like PTRA could have that started, only having a minimum contract allowed of 10 grand in salary, and then addition travel and stuff. Yeah, that's a cool idea. To support these people right from the start, to give them an opportunity to perform at their best as they're breaking out.
Yeah.
So that way you're a full-time athlete, at the age of 25 instead of you're 20, for 5 years you're working a part-time job and being a full-time athlete. That's hard. And that would also progress and grow the sport a lot more if we're full in supporting our best level athletes. Yeah, installing some sort of contract minimum would be very hard. I think also the flip side of it is that there are many people eager to be a professional athlete, and they will sign anything for that title, whether it means something or not. They just want that image. Yeah, so it is very interesting to balance all that stuff and to make sure everyone's happy. Yeah, I think as we expect more out of our athletes, they will need more money. Traveling Europe 2 or 3 times a year is not cheap.
All right, in a perfect world, like league min, how do we get like a league minimum? How could we make that happen? Because I think that would be like great for the sport, just because it rises up and there will be more money all around. Like, I bring up the same question for like athlete healthcare. I have this like quite a few professional athletes I'm very close with that don't make a lot of money, especially on the short trail side, and healthcare comes up all the time, and it's a constant question. It's like, how do we get, especially everyone's an independent contractor. It's a funky thing in that way. People have to get sometimes crazy surgeries. The medical bills add up. Outside of league minimum, like how do we get medical involved? Like how do we I don't know, make it a better sport all around for our athletes?
Yeah, it is like the scary reality where your career just is on a thin edge, and if things go well, you rise up. If you said you end up with a large surgery, you drop out of the sport. It seems like, and that's not ideal. I think, yeah, in order to have some sort of minimum, you'd have to have all the brands on board. I think the PTRA might have the power to do that. It is a weird thing with the sport is that we don't have one oversight committee or organization that couldn't, create that contract minimum. Yeah, healthcare is also a big thing. Luckily our European friends don't really have to worry about that too much. But yeah, in the States, it is scary. Yes.
It's a uniquely American issue. Yeah.
Yeah. I think some people are getting, like PT stipends now, which is helpful. Hopefully that curbs some of their bills for healthcare. Yeah, and frankly, I'm not sure, on the road scene if they have healthcare in their contracts. I might actually do some investigation in that because that sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a necessity. Especially as we get more professional, way faster as the money increases. Yeah, you wouldn't want it weighing on one surgery if you happen to fall and break a leg.
Yeah. I don't know. I was spitballing this with Dan Kurtz semi recently, and we were talking about like athlete healthcare, and we were also talking about out of competition testing pool. And people are like, well, how do we fund this? How do we get something like this funded? I think at the very like basic line, this is kind of a crazy thing, but like maybe we figure out a way to get the brands to fund it, and whether it's like some sort of small, I don't know, you raise the price of your shoe 5 cents and it goes to a fund, like it, you know what I'm saying, and like goes to some sort of like trail running fund. And I mean, I did the math on it like semi recently. I forget it off the top of my head, but like it's quite a few millions of pairs of shoes sold within the last like X amount of time. And if you start to do the math on it, like you can get a tangible amount of like monies to cover athlete healthcare, cover out of season competition testing. Like if you were to just raise the price of your shoe like 5 cents, 10 cents, which could work. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, I know that yeah, I mean, money is tight in the sport. Like I've heard of RDs that are introducing drug testing instead of prize money. And I think that, yeah, that's important. I don't know, which one should come first, but yeah, establishing your anti-doping efforts is a great step. Because, whether there's prize money or not, the brands have bonuses for that race. And you don't want to be caught doping and getting a brand bonus. Yeah, some sort of funding has to come from somewhere to get out of competition testing. Yeah, it seems like everyone's kind of throwing ideas at the wall, and yeah, nothing's stuck yet.
No.
I know, like with like World Athletics was involved with World Mountain Trail Championships this year, so I think that brings a little hope for the out of competition testing, is that they may get involved in that. But Yeah, hard to
So,
say.
what's your take on it? You think we need it? I mean, obviously, we're not an Olympic sport yet. Like, we could talk about that and where you want the sport to go when we get a little bit later into the conversation. But like, obviously, we need some sort of out of season testing pool or something. We got to do something. I mean, especially on the short trail side. Oh my god, like it's out of control. It's pretty wild right now. So, and yeah, a lot of races, especially in the States, dude, like nobody tests. I mean, obviously Broken Arrow, but they're only testing, I don't know. Like I'm on the board of Pikes Peak as well. And like I looked at some of the stuff and I'm like, dude, when like in 2023, I was very surprised on how little athletes were tested on at the Golden Trail race. I was like, what? So yeah, I think we definitely need there's definitely a call for more testing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and you think the brands would want it to say like, here, our athletes are clean all year round. uh, Look at the shoes. It's all the shoes. Yeah, because any competent doper could get around the race day tests. Um, because the doping helps their recovery more or helps them build, the fitness, and they don't really need it on race day per se. You need to make sure it's out of your system.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is, it definitely is pertinent and definitely needs to happen. Yeah, it seems like right now it's definitely a wild card whether people are tested or not. It's just kind of random, and I don't think it's going to catch anybody, honestly.
No. Unless you're really dumb. Like I think
Yeah.
that I mean, even now, dude, like you saw the stuff with like BPC 157 floating around the internet, and it's like just the availability for even like college kids to go get that now, and that's created a whole nother thing. I'm like, dude, I wonder how many people in trail have been doing that for years now because it's been available. It's like virtually untraceable. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I could do a whole other podcast on that. All right, let's pivot because I don't want to spend the whole time talking about anti-doping, and I don't think we're going to solve anything with it. But dude, you just got back from Worlds. You were over there. Talk about that experience. I know it's kind of a huge kind of left turn from what we were talking about, but yeah, talk about your time out there and how it was.
Yeah, Worlds was pretty awesome. It was my first time going to one of the World Championships. Yeah, it was really cool. It was a well organized event. A lot of excitement in those towns. It was definitely interesting because Confranc was a tiny town, so most of the teams were staying outside of the area. Luckily, we had a little apartment right in Canfranc, Estacion, so it was really cool. Yeah, it's pretty exciting to see your favorite trail runners wearing the national kits. Because we weren't really involved in that for too long. So cool to see. Cool to see that competition. The courses for the long trail and short trail were pretty wild. I ran some of the courses, and it was like, how are people racing on this?
Really? Okay.
Yeah, especially 8 hours or 9 hours into a race, just off trail grassy fields on a ski slope. It's like, it was crazy. Yeah, super cool. Yeah, it's cool to see those fast people run fast.
Yeah. Um, any particular takeaways other than like just the overall environment and stuff like that? Obviously, it was your first one, but like, was it just like as far as the atmosphere goes, and you see all these countries competing against one another, and so many people assembling in one area, for the sake of the sport? Like, does it? Do you think this could like work as an Olympic sport, or do you think like maybe the world's like platform might be better?
Yeah, it was cool to see for sure the highest people in the sport go and race there. Like Tove, Jim, and Katie. Yeah, it was cool to see them, dive into it and make it their A race for the fall and go out and go win. Yeah, to prove its legitimacy. It was super cool. Yeah, it's not as big as like UTMB week or anything, um, because it is interesting that they're only elite level races. So you know, you don't have middle of the Packers, back of the Packers. There's no Congo lines. It's just those people running fast. Um, yeah, I think once Jim and Katie showed up, it proved that it's a competition. It's a legit competition, and I think it will be from this point on. Next year, I think it has the potential to be a little more competitive because it is later in the calendar. And so that UTMB and Worlds double in 2027, I think will be more reasonable. I hope people dive into it and bring even more competition to it. I think it's here to stay.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think it's only, I mean, obviously there was a few names absent from athletes that participated in like the UTMB weekend and stuff like that. But I don't know, like I would have never guessed like Tove Alexandersson was going to put on a performance like the one she did. And like same with Katie, like crazy performances. It is going to be really interesting to see what happens when we get to South Africa, like because I think that's November, if I remember correctly, on the 27 calendar. So it's going to be spaced out a little bit more. And hopefully it gets a little deeper and we'll see. Like, I think that's the big question is like, is this going to be like the de facto, like big thing moving forward? I think that's the question though. Do brands buy in? Because it's a weird thing to get the brands to buy in if you're only wearing their shoes and you're not necessarily wearing their kit, right?
Right. But also the other thing that seemed to happen is that the federations are buying in more so than the brands, like the French team having team camps and, banning their athletes from competing at UTMB. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And, they're paying for those trips and they're paying for those team camps. Or like the Spanish Federation apparently was doing the same thing and offering huge bonuses for their athletes to finish top 5, top 10. Like 20,000 euros for I think it was a top 5 performance from the Spanish Federation.
It's not bad.
Something like that. Yeah, that's more bonuses than most people get in any race. So I think that's a cool side of it, to see the actual federations buy in.
Yeah.
Because if the brands are going to slip up, then hopefully someone else takes advantage.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have that happen on the US ATF side, unfortunately. Like, maybe, I don't know. It would have to be like an external I don't even know if that would work, if there would be like an external partner to come in and like maybe privately try to fund the thing outside of US ATF. I don't even know if that's even possible. But
definitely US ATF could support those trail runners a little more. At the same time, there are a huge number of federations that athletes pay their own way to the dang event.
Yeah, that's true.
That sucks.
Skyrunning.
So I think another thing that could happen, that maybe needs to happen, is World Athletics forces these federations to pay for their athletes' travel, to pay for their uniforms. Because if you want, and even like pre-training trips, if you want to perform your best, you can't just go out and be there for 4 days. You have to be there for weeks. And see especially at Confrank, to see that course, it seemed like a lot of people who invested the time to scout the course did well.
Yeah, except for Michelina. Sorry, Mike. I had to throw that one in there. No, let's shift gears though. I do want to talk about the brand aspect in that. Like, did you happen to get a chance to read Caleb Olson's article that he wrote on Substack about Worlds? He like threw out a couple different, like, I thought were actually like semi constructive and like decent ideas on how to get more of the brands to just give a crap, just because it seemed like, I don't know, a lot of it is getting buy-in from them too for performance bonuses too, so athletes can get bonused, and it gives them a little bit more of an incentive to maybe forego what is the big thing in UTMB now and maybe go represent their country or something like that. Like, do you think there's like a world where brands actually care about that and like will bonus for something like that in the future as more and more, I don't know, as there's more buy-in, if you will?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, track runners are getting bonuses for world champs in their genre. So why can't the same thing happen for trail? And it seems like a silly conversation to have. Like, it should be happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I like World Athletics was a little more strict this year with logos, and people were duct taping logos. So that's definitely a negative for the brand. But track runners only have their shoes, like, and then the brands are still giving them bonuses.
Yeah. That is
so
weird.
Why can't the same thing happen for trail?
Yeah. Wait, people were duct taping logos. I'm not aware of this. You gotta fill me in.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of rules in terms of like logos and how many logos can be on clothing. Like Nike had to like Nike was cover or producing shorts with only one Nike swoosh on them to give to the team. Like I guess logos that were on vests had to be covered up if they weren't the federation's sponsor and they weren't to a certain size. Yeah, if you look back, there's people with duct tape on the back of their vests covering up, Hoka logos or North Face logos or Nike, not Nike logos.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of rules.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. We definitely got to get some stuff figured out for 2027, but I guess we're headed somewhat in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm excited for 2027. It's kind of cool to have that, that long-term 2-year cycle in our sport that we haven't had. It's, a little baby like Olympic cycle almost. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to bring that up. Like, what do you, so you do like that better? I don't know, dude. I think it's also kind of fun if we select every year for, I don't know, just because athletes race so much and there's like, it's pretty much a year round calendar at this point. Like if we had like a de facto world championship every year, like if UTMB happens every year, it's obviously like our, the weekend is the de facto, whether it's OCC, CCC, UTMB, like those are kind of the de facto like distance championships. Like it'd be cool if we also had like a de facto world championship every year.
I don't think so.
No, no.
The calendar's too full. I mean, if you're racing UTMB and racing a UTMB qualifier, and then if you're racing a Worlds qualifier and then Worlds, that's 4 races right there. That's crazy. And then, it depends on if your federation has resume spots or if you're racing for all those spots. Yeah, the calendar gets full quick.
Yeah. Well, it's also interesting too. I was thinking about this as far as the short trail went, like, and this is no like I don't know, like Toby Alexanderson obviously had like such a crazy, like insane performance. That's a different conversation. But like I think about someone like Fred Transard, who's such a good sky runner and is so good on terrain like that. If that was a different type of course, my question is, would Fred have been the de facto world champion? And you can kind of spin that into, if this was to be an every year thing, let's say we had UTMB, right? And then similar after maybe November, we had Worlds. If UTMB is a more competitive race than Worlds, someone wins UTMB and a different person wins Worlds, who's really the world champion? And kind of changes the conversation, right?
Yeah, I think it's definitely cool that World Championships moves that way to highlight, different aspects of trail running.
Yeah.
Like this, to see those two people with sort of that orienteering background win the short trail, and then like the 100-mile specialists, the UTMB specialists like Jim and Katie just smash the long trail. Like those are two different niches of the same sport. And then like Cape Town's going to be even different. So it's going to be interesting to see what specialist thrives there.
Yeah. I'm going to shift gears. I want to talk about the sport in general. Like, are you stoked about where it's headed as far as like growth, and like kind of where it's at now and where you think it's going?
Yeah, I'm just full of excitement. Every year it's like, this is the big year, and then next year comes about and all these races happen. You're like, wait, this is the big year. And that keeps going and going and going every year. We're not going to know how big we get until we get there. I'm just full of excitement. I think it seems like we're at a stage where people are, putting more money into the sport, like sort of like, with Nike shifting their focus into ACG and going all in on trail running with the scope of ACG. Everyone trying to build these crazy shoes, and I'm just full of excitement. It seems like people are slowly getting paid more. It seems like bonuses are increasing. Participation is increasing. People are spending millions on the sport in the States. It's pretty impressive. And at some point we'll no longer be that, that niche sport we were. I truly think. And I think, more than a blip in the radar, I think trail running will like be here to stay. It'll build and build and build, and it'll stick around. I think a lot of these niche sports, have roller coasters, have fluctuated. I don't know, thinking of like surfing or like inline skating. Skateboarding, inline skating. things fluctuate. But I think trail running's still on the rise.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. I literally just read an article today that there's someone's making a movie about, I think it's a woman running the Badwater race, something like that. And there was, I
Yeah,
think the
yeah,
director was just at Javelina or something like that. I was like, wow, this is kind of crazy.
yeah. A director who's already ran ultras and
Yeah.
has, has a good. It seems like has a good feel for the scene. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a thriller, a horror of some sort,
We'll see what
involving Badwater 135. Um, yeah, that should be interesting. I'm sure. I'm sure all of us trail runners will be in the if we go see in the theaters, we'll just be like rolling our eyes.
Right. Well, it's like, how did our little sport just like get into the zeitgeist so quickly?
Like what? She hasn't even vomited yet. What? This is
Yeah,
not a
what
real
is this? She's
depiction.
not taking her salt. Like,
She's not even running on the white line at Battlewater. What is she doing?
what do you think? Like just like the mom and pop races will survive. Like, you think that's like a thing long term, or do you think the sport will eventually get so big and so professional that it'll like start to push that stuff out?
No, I think they'll survive. I think each little area of the country has their own special races. Like here in Missoula, we have our own little special races. Sometimes the pros come to them, sometimes they don't. And I think it's cool to have those big races in every community. Um, to see who the fastest runner is in that community. I think people will survive because there is a I think there's a large swath of the people in the sport that like the grassroots aspect of it. They like just paying $150 or whatever and running a 50K, and they know there's going to be watermelon at every aid station.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is, I think that's really cool. I mean, that's grounding.
it is. I think we can have a world where we coexist and kind of both. Like, we can have the pointy tip of the spear in your most competitive races in the sport, and I think you can also have the race where like there's not even timing chips and people are just like writing down the time when you go across the finish line.
Yeah,
It's fun.
yeah.
All right, dude. We're almost at about an hour. Pretty close to it now. I think we're good. I think we covered most of it. What do you think? Is there anything you want to get to that you don't think we've covered?
Man, yeah.
I mean, dude, I could do 2 hours if you get me talking.
Oh man, I think there's a lot of stuff I still want to learn in the sport. Like one big topic is European versus American contracts.
Ooh, all right.
That's a huge topic. Um, I mean, I think Americans are doing pretty well overall.
Do you think so? I've heard this that we are doing better compared to the Europeans. I don't know. Like, the only thing I could take is kind of like short trail versus. I just know it's valued a little bit differently, but overall, Americans are doing substantially better.
Yeah, if we're leading the way, then we're leading the way. It's kind of interesting when when Europe has so much more history in both the short trail and the long trail in the sport. But I think that just goes along with our brands where they want to spend money. People are willing to spend more money in the sport in the States. There's a lot more going on here. That's another thing about when I went to Canfranc in Spain is that everybody is way more casual about trail running. People are going out running their early morning runs start at 10 a.m. Like, it's pretty casual. I think that's pretty reflective in their culture overall, and then in their in their professional contracts and their careers. It's just different.
Yeah. Like, what do you think I mean, I guess it's just more dollars spent overall. You think more invested in America in the sport, or do you think it's more in Europe overall?
Ooh, I think it's probably more in the States. I think. Especially it seems like these American-based companies are just trying to grow,
Yeah.
and so they are investing more and more and more. That's the roots of it that I would think.
Do you think the dollars? I mean, this is a hard question to answer, but like, as far as the dollar, I just think of the pie chart, right? Like, how much of that do you think goes to athletes? How much goes to media and like their marketing budget? How much of that goes to shareholders? Like, do you have an idea of like how much of that actually goes to the athletes, as far as like for every X amount that you make as a, I don't know, as a brand, what you can divvy back, kind of like reinvested as far as like capital expenditure?
Yeah, I think it's pretty small. That's just my
Yeah,
feeling. I don't have any facts, but I think it's pretty small. I think I still think most trail runners are, signing contracts that are 20 grand is
yeah,
probably the average. 10 to 20 is the average. Like a few weeks ago, I looked at that old survey from Ultra Runner Mag when they surveyed the pro runners and what they made. And back then, I think the average was like, 10 to 15. Um, yeah, I definitely think that type of survey needs to happen again.
yes,
So we
yes.
get so not so only people in the sport can get a good footing in the data, but I think it's important for the larger audience just to know what their favorite trail runner is making. Because like it's pretty interesting. Most of the professional trail runners are the poorest people in the start line.
Usually,
Like, yeah, usually it's I there. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes. I don't remember who said it. Is that your favorite trail? It was your favorite runner is poor. um, and I think that's an interesting part of our sport is that it kind of seen as more of like a hobby, like a passion. Like you should do it because you love to do it. You shouldn't do it because you want to get paid. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
The soul sport aspect. Well, dude, I don't know if
yeah,
you know the statistic, but like I think it was they surveyed like Ironman athletes, not professionals, but just like the average person that participates in Ironman. I think like the average salary is like well over 150,000, somewhere in that range. Like it's relatively high. And you compare that to like you just compare the average participant, and then you think of like what the average trail runner is making like on a start line. It's the 50, 60, 70% less. It's absolutely crazy. It's yeah, I don't know. What do you think about like I don't know. You think about the NFL, you think about NBA, and like most of these large organizations, and like contracts are very out there, spoken about, discussed. We have a lot of NDAs behind our stuff. Can't really talk about anything unless it's behind closed doors, and then we're still not supposed to talk about it. Do you think there should be NDAs, or do you think people should be allowed to talk?
I mean, I think ideally there shouldn't be NDAs, but I think right now it's just the reality of the sport. I like everybody kind of knows what everyone else is making, but you're not allowed to say anything. It's the weirdest thing. Um, but for the time being, I think there'll be NDAs unless like PTRA steps up big time and petitions against it. Um, yeah, and I don't know the reason why NDA started to begin with. People say it's because the brands don't want people to know how little they pay their athletes, but I don't know if that's true. Um, yeah, it's interesting, and people worry about people's feelings getting hurt, and I think that is a possibility with trail running where it is in the sport right now. is, is you're able to, people that are slower than you are able to negotiate bigger contracts, not just because of their performances, but because of other factors, other variables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, it would be cool to see your podcast talk about so and so signing this amount, and and Finn's podcast talk about so and so signing this many years and this bonus, and that would be cool.
Yeah.
And maybe in a few years that'll happen. Um, yeah, I'd be curious also to know like whether those Ironman pro athletes are signing NDAs or these other sort of niche areas are signing NDAs as well.
Yeah. Well, it's weird, man. Like it's weird because it's like in the zeitgeist. Like last year, Kelly Newland helped Tara get the big contract, and like it was like assumed but not assumed. But an article came out, and like there was a figure thrown out there or a range of a figure, and it was like, okay, so that kind of breaks an NDA unless it's like very specific. It gets weird, right? Where it's like we're kind of getting in the direction where more stuff is being open. Also, dude, I talk to so many athletes and people are like so nice and like open and like throw numbers out there. I'm just like, dude, I don't feel comfortable like sharing like stuff like that's weird like to have that conversation, but people feel comfortable and like feel like talking about it. So I feel like yeah, it would be cool. It would be great from a podcast perspective. Yeah, if we saw, I don't know, let's say I'm just going to throw a random athlete out there and say, Jane Doe makes, I don't know, signs a deal with Hoka for 600,000 a year or something like that. Like it would be great to celebrate that athlete. But yeah, we can't. Yeah, the conversation can
Yeah, I
never be
think
had.
that's why like Ultra um allow that as a sort of like a marketing piece. Like, look at us, we're supporting our athletes. we're supporting a woman athlete who did the AT this fast. Like, look at us, this is cool. So I think that was a cool move for them in terms of a marketing aspect. Yeah, but I would have loved to see an exact number.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like, and she's getting healthcare and this much travel. Yeah, that would have been cool to see. And I always wonder, with both these contracts being only 10,000 to 20,000, I don't. I would wonder if a brand would, take legal actions against someone
yeah.
for a
Right.
contract that's only 10
So what are you
grand.
gonna sue me for, dude? Like, you're gonna take my van? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you gonna spend 10 grand suing me over my 10 grand contract?
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah. Who knows? Who knows? It depends on. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I've dealt with some really nasty corporate lawyers, like in my job, like and yeah, you'd be surprised on like how weird the corporate world is with some of that stuff. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What do you want to pivot into next? What other topics do you think we didn't get into?
Well, man, yeah, I mean, talking about athlete pay, I think there's just a lot of opportunity for those non-endemic sponsorships. Um, I saw a photo of Baptiste, who won Daniel Defoe.
Yeah.
He had an ad on the back of his vest for Back Market, which is like electronics resale company. It was on the back of his vest, so that's kind of funny. But I was like, wow, like how did he get that? How did he get that connection? And B, how much did they pay for that ad? That was, like on the back of his vest. Like that's cool. I think there's more opportunities there for that. And it's just about. I mean, that's kind of what I'm excited to tackle is finding those opportunities and seeking them out and seeing what areas of the economy likes trail running.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think there's more money for athletes going that direction. Like, I don't know. I've seen more and more now. What is it, the Ford Bronco ambassadors? I'm seeing that pop up more and more, and that's discussed. Like, I know Julian Carr's been doing that for a while, and a bunch of other athletes. And yeah, like we need more cars. We need more just stuff. Like, it would be a lot of fun because I think the ability for athletes to make infinitely more will be there with the non-endemic brands.
Yeah, and I think more so than contacting the large corporations, it's about like going to your local dealership
Yeah.
and like maybe getting a lease for a year. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like,
Just like because they would love. I feel like a mountain town Toyota dealership would love to support a local pro
yeah,
who
absolutely.
drives the trailheads in their Tacoma.
Like, dude,
That's just
if I could get like Dave's Hot Chicken or like In-N-Out Burger to like sponsor me in some way, shape, or form, I would be so down. It would be amazing.
and yeah, I mean, it just takes time. It just takes connections to find those unique opportunities. And I feel like as the sport grows, they'll reveal themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Anything that sticks out to you brand wise, like what do you think would be? I don't know, that something that we can do. Like, I don't know. I hate like the finance world and the banking world, but like I feel like there's so much money there and it's so untapped. Like, I know, what is it? Is it UBS? I think sponsors Series and all. So I'm surprised we don't have more bank sponsored like athletes in Europe, which would be interesting, you know?
Yeah, I think like Cape Town has a bank sponsor.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously a bank would be cool, but like like a local RV dealership to get a Winnebago. um, I think even like rather than big banks, like your local bank,
Yeah.
your local credit union might have opportunities. I think like the mountain town tourism councils and the tourism initiatives would love pictures of runners out in the mountains. Like that's a huge draw. Especially when you say trail runners spend X amount of dollars on travel and X amount of dollars yearly on their sport. Why don't we bring some of them here? Like like fly fishing in here in Montana is a marketing asset for travel. Come to Missoula and fly fish, and why not come to Missoula and trail run? Um, yeah, so I think those tourism councils are pretty cool. Yeah, it's the cool things. The opportunities are pretty endless.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll start to trickle in as we go, as everything expands. I mean, you saw like I don't know, Kodiak cakes even, like, which is I don't know. You can, I guess they're more of an adjacent brand, still kind of non-endemic. Like even the like food stuff was cool too. So yeah, it's going to be fun to see more brands kind of trickle in as we go.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about us not having rules for sponsor logos is that you could put a giant ad on the back of your vest and no one will stop you.
Yeah.
You could put a giant logo on the back of your shorts. Go ahead, throw out the craziest idea. I guess it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, I remember like when the NBA adopted like they started putting sponsor logos on their jerseys and everybody was like up and up, and now it's like commonly accepted thing. Like it's on everyone's jersey and nobody really cares anymore. Yeah, it's interesting to me, especially on the European side. If dude's got like all kinds of stuff on his vest and his shorts, like that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the European side is into it. Like you see like region sponsoring runners, like Katie and Germont have a sponsor for the region they live in, or mountains, ski resorts sponsor runners. People that schemo in the winter and run in the summer, they have those sponsorships. Yeah, and Europe's unique because they have those local clubs that'll sponsor trail runners. Your local sporting club. Yeah, that's something we definitely don't have in the States. That's definitely unique to that region.
For sure. All right, dude. I think we hit it all. I'm gonna say thanks so much for coming on the pod. I really appreciate it. It's a great conversation, and thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm looking forward to 2026. If anybody wants to chat, my inbox is open.
All right, sweet, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, Trailhead Athlete Management. I'll have it linked in the show notes and your contact information as well. And yeah, appreciate it, dude.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, dude. We're good. Sweet. Sometimes this lags a little bit.